guys, how's it going? This is Bingo. One of the newest Heavenly Hounds therapy dogs of Coma, and he wants to be in the video. So today I was thinking a lot about, and I've been doing a lot of study on specifically the tarot and the major arcana. So why not do a video about it and share it with you guys? So the major arcana it's more than just the tarot, okay? They are the gemstones of the human psyche. You look at the Jungian archetypes, right? These basic human nature personified into an aspect. They're also tools in understanding the human psyche and human existence. And when you get into this path of enlightenment or spiritual awakening, what does this all mean? Like, what is that anyway? You start to ask basic questions of who am I and why am I here? One of the very rewarding practices in the beginning is the practice of awareness. You start to become aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're going through, why you're doing what you're doing. The awareness of what you're doing and why you're doing it starts to answer these questions for yourself of who am I? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? What am I doing here? Why am I here? One of the things that I've always really liked is the symbolism of the puzzle piece. Now, I've done a lot of these tattoos for people with Aspergers and autism, and I've always really liked the symbol. But it's not only just being a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. It's also, we are a puzzle with 1,000 pieces. And our obstacles break us apart so that when we pick up each puzzle piece to figure out where it goes, we inspect every color, like where does this go? And we spin it around. It's so symbolic of looking within ourselves and finding all of these little pieces and really being able to put the pieces back together. I remember doing puzzles with my grandmother, and I just loved it. I loved sitting around the table for hours putting this puzzle together that had, 1,000 or more pieces. Little bitty pieces too, So yeah, I decided on, why don't I take one of the major arcanas a day and focus on each one? Yeah, that's a good idea. So there are 22 in the tarot in total, because we're gonna focus on the tarot. One thing that I really thought was cool that came to me in a little snippet of information, but also through my meditations and downloads, is that these major arcanas they're so old. They were in hieroglyphic symbols in ancient Egyptian temples on the pillars. And when I watch these documentaries of all these old temples, Göbekli Tepe and the pyramids and like all of these ancient places that I'm like, you know, the pictures are looking around, they're panning, or maybe it's just a picture and I'll see a pillar. And I'll see all these images and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm recognizing these images for what they are, because it's about the symbology, right? Learning, that's why they're symbols, so that we can understand them throughout the ages. And it's so funny to see the, I don't know, scholarly, like really, I don't know, that I could just see that scholarly person that's trying to, you know, look at the symbols and figure out what they mean and what it says, and like in a very mental vibration of like language and translations, and I'm just like, oh, I just feel it all, you know. But I'm going to divide these 22 in 3 divisions. And I didn't come up with this. This is just a system that I'm learning. And each 3 division of the 22, you think about the numbers, that's how it works, right? The first division belongs to man. Oh, and of course there's 7 in each. Anyway, the first division belongs to man, the second to nature, and the third to the divine, to the higher self. And the first set will be the magician, the fool, the chariot, the hermit, the lovers, the devil, and the hanged man. So, today, we've got the magician. I love the magician. He's the number 1. Because the fool is 0. So he's number 1. And understanding the magician as the idea that as human beings, our human existence, we are the only life forms on this planet that can reach a state of the magician. Well, what is the state of a magician? There is a basic keys to being a magician are, well, there are 4, and I actually talked about them in a previous video. There are 4, and it's all wrapped up in the elements and the light, frequency, and vibration. So, and through the Kabbalah, you've got the Word of God with the 4 letters. There's a kinetic, active, pushing force, a sacred masculine. There is a static, nurturing, passive force, the sacred feminine. There is a balance in between the 2, the union of the 2. And there's a result from the union. It is how life is created. The Word of God. It's in everything. Fire, water, air, earth. The magician carries tools that symbolize these, so that, 1, a magician has a relationship with the elements. You have to be initiated by the elements. you become known and respected by these elements. The staff, fire, cups, water, the sword, air, and the pentacle, earth. Okay, so maybe you're a little shy and you're like, I'm not a magician. I'm not, maybe I'm not a magician. You have this image of the altar and all the cool stuff, right? I mean, some people get into that. I love it personally, but maybe that's a little bit too much for you. There is the basic truth of the fact that when you're faced with adversity and you have an obstacle in your life, there are ways that you're going to handle it. You're going to have a kinetic, powerful force that makes you angry about what's happened, that makes you do something, pushing, moving the energy. You're also going to have the static energy. Maybe you're sitting on the side of the bed and you're like, I just don't know why this is happening. And it's an internal, it's a contemplative, it's a, oh, what am I going to do? You think about it, right? There's that energy. Now, the key to receiving the results is you find the balance of the two. You have an obstacle and you understand that, okay, I need to think about what's going on and I need to have this feminine absorption of what the situation is, and I need a force that's going to push me past this obstacle, that's going to make me move through the door of this obstacle. And I need a balance to really reap the rewards, which is the result, the pentacle and the earth, the result of the balance. Every time you're overcoming an obstacle, you're a magician, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. It is a part of us being human. Light, frequency, and vibration. So I'm like, let's get to the cards. And then I was like, I'm literally making the tarot cards contemplate themselves. Like, all right, what do the cards have to say about the card of the magician? So I really didn't know how it was going to work out. And I was like, how is this going to work? So I'm shuffling and thinking about the magician, obviously. And I do center, north, south, east, and west, like I usually do. And in the center, I've got King of Hearts, which in my deck is another major arcana. It is justice. It is the 11. And I had to sit, of course, that's why I don't do the cards in front of you. To really be able to absorb, you have to take time to sit in emptiness to be able to receive any kind of messages. You can't just spill out what you've read in a book. I mean, that's another way of doing it. Not knocking it, but another way is really letting the downloads come through, and being that vessel, clearing everything out so that the downloads come in. The first thing I thought, justice, Jupiter. I'm like, oh, Jupiter, hey. And then I thought about the magician, and I thought about the need for humans to have justice. And, I remember as a kid growing up in the church and all, you know, and being force-fed this idea that God judges us and that, you know, you're good or bad. I hated the concept. I was like, who is this motherfucker? I'm not going to be judged by this old man that doesn't even exist in the sky. I was so rebellious about it. And I was just like, fuck that shit, right? But now, as an adult, and all of the experiences that I've had, I realize that in this karmic reality that we are in this incarnation, there is a judge, which is Jupiter, and we need it. If you wield that much power, we need judgment to be able to keep the balance. You know, it's that Libra, that the scales of law. And, you know, a lot of us just have a really bad feeling about that. I mean, my dad was a lawyer, and growing up, I felt the injustice, and I saw how fucked up the judicial system is and how unbalanced it is right now. Oh my God, don't even get me on the whole prison system and shit. And it's really unbalanced, which is why those of us that are really sensitive are like, fuck judgment. Don't judge me. But you have to bring that into balance. You have to realize that to have a judge, a just judge, a good judge, gives you moral boundaries, right? Thank you, Jupiter. Thank you, Jupiter. So, what do we have in the north? We've got the Jack of Hearts. And there we go. I think of the kid. And then the hearts. And then it's like, it's instantly the emo kid. There's that emo kid in my mind that feels things deeply, that just doesn't know, like this whole existence is so messed up. It's so out of balance that you just don't even know what to do about it. And in my observations, these kids grow up with the potential to wield so much power. They are the magicians. The could-be magicians. Because you need that sensitivity, that connection, that over-emotional feelings to be able to understand symbology, to feel the elements, to feel the planets, to feel things. Most people are so numb. They're calloused over, right? So I loved this kid being up in the north. So much power and love and emotion. So what's in the south? And I got 4 of clubs. Instantly 4, stable. 4 feet on the ground. Like a cow. I think of a table being very stable, and then fire. And it's that stabilizing this fiery emotion to be able to wield the fire, stabilize it. And I also thought of 4 as Jupiter again. There's Jupiter again. what does Jupiter really do? And what is judgment? And then I got this image of an alchemist with the fire, and it really sunk in that, you know, like even now we have sometimes a hard time with our rheostats on our stoves getting the fire to be at the right temperature. Personally, here at Coma, we just have, it's like an old camping eye, so we don't have numbers on the rheostat. It's just like full flame or low flame, and you have to figure out where the best, a lot of people just throw it like full flame, and then you get like burned the bottom of the pan or pot or whatever. But you know, the image was the alchemist with nothing but wood and maybe a kiln, and having to figure out like how hot the fire needs to be to change, to melt, to do whatever chemical reaction that they're trying to do. And it also flipped into like a metal worker, like, you know, with swords and shit, like making swords and armor and stuff like that, like, and having that fire and really having that ability to control that fire to the point of, you know exactly what temperature it's at. So I was like, wow, okay. Balancing that power. So what do we have in the east? Coming up over the hill, we've got 9 of clubs rising up. 9. 9 is like that completion, but not quite past the door. This is shedding light on the magician. It's like it's almost like that number 9, you've got 9 and 10, right? So it's 9 is so close, it's almost through the door. It's like the magician is close to being godlike, the perfected self, right? Through the Arcana, through the elements. Again, this is fire, this is clubs, this is the staff, right? So many staffs, like, oh my God. Thoth with the staves and the snakes, and Mercury with the snakes and the staff and the wings. So many staffs, so much fire. And so many doors. That's the other thing. So I was like, okay, so it's like not really 9, it's not really passing through that door yet. It's at the door. You are at the door. And then there's so many visions and dreams that I have recorded in my spiritual texts. You can go check them out on Amazon. The first 2 were published and the 3rd is being edited right now. But of either passing through the doors or finding the door or just holding the door open. And in all of my visions and dreams, how much strength it took to actually do this. There's so much power and strength to be able to push through a door or hold it open. Of course, it's a metaphysical door. But that 9 of clubs is that it embodies that strength right there. Yeah, so then I was like, okay, a little bit deeper. 9 is Yasad, it's the moon. And I was like, well, that's the first door. I talked about that in one of my other videos. Yeah, so sorry about the hammering. I don't know what the neighbors are doing, well, other than building houses and stuff. Like, the whole rainforest is becoming a neighborhood. So, what's in the West? Let's wrap this up at the end of the day. What's going on? Two of Swords. And I was like, communication. Two, you've got the pillars of justice. You've got the duality. You've got air and the sword to cut through. You have Uranus. And Uranus is the planet that embodies divination and astrology and magic and visions and electricity that pull positive and negative charge with the ground to create the light in your house, in the light bulb, right? So yeah, I definitely felt that ability of Uranus and two and justice, bringing balance to the magician and being able to, through astrology and through the macrocosm and the microcosm and studying electricity and understanding that everything is only light, frequency, and vibration, that you can inspect all of the puzzle pieces of yourself. And when you put them all back together, you have the magician, right? Triangle. So yeah, I was really pleased with the spread, and I hope you were too. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget about the affiliate link, the surprise, in the description below. Just clicking on it helps me out, and I really never know what it's going to be until like I make the link. So it really is a surprise for me too, and it's fun. And if you like it and you buy it, it's a donation to Coma. So also don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me out as well. Not just me, but this place that is for people like you that are interested in esoteric sciences and figuring out our shadows. Thank you so much. Love and light. Take care.